We're here to introduce UrbanPlan, which particularly for Asia Pacific, where a lot of friends, particularly trustees and ExCom members, we've been discussing and planning a lot of initiatives. For the last 12 months, we've actually brought forward from the US an education program called UrbanPlan, which is for high school students, university students, and public sector workers. Thank you, Amy, for mentioning this earlier as well. It's really a multidisciplinary approach to learning about the built environment. Why it's so crucial is that we live in a highly urbanized society where, particularly with emerging markets, we have both the privilege and the danger of building instant cities. We can make tremendous mistakes, or we can actually in one go create the best cities in the world. The mission of ULI, one of the core missions, is really about the betterment of community. It's very much people-based. So the idea is to actually try to take people who are coming out of education institutions to learn about what we all do, multidisciplinary, so that we can think in an integrated way.
So besides hearing from Phil and myself, who are the co-chairs of UrbanPlan Hong Kong, you are going to be hearing from two students, and maybe I'll ask them to come on stage now, Justin and Jade. This is not a debate. So the two of them participated in the pilot program in Hong Kong. They're both students at ISF. ISF has been an instrumental partner for ULI in rolling out UrbanPlan here in Hong Kong, so a big thank you to the ISF Academy. But before we hear from the students, we like to show you a video where you can see UrbanPlan in action. And I don't want to raise your expectations too high, but former ULI global chairman told me that he thought that UrbanPlan was one of the best initiatives that ULI has ever done. So in any case, with that note, let's see the video.
The UrbanPlan program from ULI is an opportunity for our students to interact both with professionals in the field and to begin to understand the complexities of building a modern city.
In Hong Kong, we're piloting at ISF, but the intention really is to try to take this to all the high schools, local as well as the international schools.
When we look around the world today in the communities that we live in, there's a lot of challenges that the communities are facing. And UrbanPlan is really important to me because it's a great way to introduce students to the issues that these communities are facing, while at the same time teaching them the skills that they will need for the future.
This fits really nicely with our next unit, which is going to be urban management. So when we heard about it, we fit it around our unit planning, and so it fits really, really nicely. The students have been completely 100% engaged throughout the whole process.
This is the sort of learning that every student should be doing. Firstly, it's about analysis, so they're analysing problems. Collaboration, they have to collaborate with others who may not have exactly the same idea. Creativity, because of course in the process of collaborating they have to come up with different ideas.
They've got to put themselves in the shoes of the community and the counselors, of the developers. They have to have a very holistic view to the overall development plan. I think this is critically important as we move to the future.
We actually have 20% of green space here, which narrows the actual land mass down to around 50%.
We have a skate park here, so this is for the young community.
We would be renovating the department store and make the structures more stable, but keeping the same look.
It opened up lots of opportunities for experimentation and creativity, and we found it very informative and entertaining.
What I really liked about this is that we were able to communicate with all of the other people.
They had a unique role that they had to play, a unique responsibility that they held. And together, only when you work together with everyone and you listen to everyone's ideas can you actually ensure that your final product satisfies everyone.
After doing this, I'm seeing how interesting it is and how there's actually a lot of communication involved. And that's something that I personally really like.
This is different. It's not out of a textbook.
So in the U.S., it's been in existence for about 15 years. 43,000 students have actually gone through the program, so a tremendous number. About 2,500 in the UK and Europe as well. So our intention, obviously, we're in the biggest growth region in the world. We want to top that over the next few years. So at the end of the program, we're going to be talking to a whole number of you. Nobody is escaping this in this room.
That's right. Okay. So Justin, Jade, you are both 16 years old, 10th graders at the ISF Academy. You're starting to formulate ideas and thoughts about what you want to do in the future. I know, Jade, that you actually are quite interested in architecture.
Yeah, I am.
So how did kind of UrbanPlan help or change your thought process on that?
Well, my initial thought on architecture was that it mainly involves like designing buildings, right? But then urban planning kind of gave me a new perspective on architecture, on how it also involves like the bigger picture of like not just individual buildings, but kind of like buildings together. So yeah, it gave me a new perspective, and I thought that was really interesting.
Right. And Justin, we know that you are not immediately interested in architecture, design, development, but kind of how did UrbanPlan help you?
So I guess the reason why I'm not like specifically interested yet is because I don't want to commit too early, because I want to broaden my choices, especially for colleges, and I'm not exactly sure where I want to study at. So this helped me in a way that I understood the practical nature of like for this urban planning workshop. I understood the practical nature of how things work in real life, and I think this could really apply to basically all fields of business, and yeah.
Right. So we understand at the ISF you have a very rigorous but also a very innovative curriculum. And perhaps you can share a little bit about how you see UrbanPlan fitting in within what you're doing at school right now.
So our school has a lot of different units in our humanities like subject. So one of the units this year was urban planning, and like obviously this fit in very well with this program being about urban planning as well. But I feel like this program being kind of more like an international thing really fits in with our school's specific, like more Hong Kong-based urban planning lessons. So it kind of localizes the idea of urban planning for us.
Right.
Yeah, I think this basically really isn't part of your normal curriculum, because it makes you think about the real life aspect. And normally, in our most recent unit, we did sustainable cities. So we analyzed different cities and took a look at the sustainable indexes. So I think this really put that into practice for us, instead of just reading it off a textbook and doing research.
Right. We also know that, obviously UrbanPlan is very much focused on urban issues, but through the process, were there other challenges, maybe not specifically related to, the buildings or the blocks, teams, et cetera? What other challenges did you kind of come across in UrbanPlan, and how did you guys overcome them?
Again, we thought about, it wasn't just statistics and numbers. We had to think about, this is definitely a more people-to-people thing. It's like a human connection, where you have to think about ease to like transportation. You have to think about how people of different wealth classes are placed next to each other, and you have to think about spaces, green environments, and how people. It's more about your lifestyle rather than just academic aspects.
Right.
So on top of what Justin said, I think the urban planning process is a lot more complicated than I originally thought, because on top of like the different like things that you need to consider while planning an urban area, you also have to consider kind of the perspective and opinions of your teammate, which sometimes conflict with, say, like my own opinion. So there are a lot of like different perspectives to just take into consideration and sort out.
So we're in the process now of customizing, UrbanPlan for Hong Kong, for Asia. Kind of any suggestions in terms of what we could do to improve it?
So I felt like the workshop's definitely very information-packed because we were split into many different roles, like financial director, which that was the role I played. And we had to, it wasn't, even though I was the role as a financial director, I had to look over all my other team's roles, so I made sure we were all connecting. So I couldn't just focus on my job alone, and I had to understand job descriptions of every other role. So this was a lot of information to take in all at once in one day. So perhaps, like, you know, the material given to us could have been more concise, and I felt like the information was very important, though, nonetheless.
I thought the workshop we had was really well-rounded because it gave us a pretty holistic view of what urban planning is. But in terms of making it kind of like a Hong Kong context, I think it would help if we had kind of a space constraint because I noticed the area which we were allowed to work with was quite big, and it wouldn't be that relatable in Hong Kong. So yeah.
We've gotten some great feedback from the students. So, you know, the ISF Academy went to the UK originally. They did a program there. But the feedback and the types of comments have been phenomenal. We actually have two of the teachers here from ISF Academy who've been instrumental. Could we get a microphone? I'd just like to maybe ask either Lisa or Diana just for your thoughts as to, you know, how ISF views the program.
When Diana approached me to ask about how this could fit into the curriculum, I was really excited because we're the only school in Hong Kong that actually do the MYP e-assessment, and one of the units for the e-assessment is urban management, and so this fitted really nicely. However, I didn't know what to expect in terms of the workshop, but actually we did 2 days, and it was probably the highlight of our year in grade 10. The students, as I said in the video, were 100% engaged, and I think the reason for that was because of the differentiation within the groups. So all of the students were given a role which played to their strength. For example, the financial director was given to the mathematicians, the marketing, person was given to the most creative. And so that meant that the students were able to be 100% engaged within their roles and then within their teams. We didn't expect the resources to be as professional as they were. I think the kids loved playing with the blocks and moving them around on the table. And as we said, and Dr. Pritchard said in the video, he's very big on experiential learning. And we try to bring what we teach in the classroom to life, and this was just a very good example of that.
Great, thank you very much. Any last comments? I mean, would you recommend this to your friends? Any things that you'd like to say?
All right. I guess I would recommend it to my friends because it really gives them, it kind of broadens their horizon for future career opportunities. So I think it's pretty good. Yeah.
Great.
Well, I guess I can't say no.
Sure you can.
No. I mean, no. I definitely loved this experience. It was definitely one of the highlights of my year, especially in humanities. A lot of times what we do is all, very textbook. We don't actually get to go out there and experience, especially in humanities, and a lot of the interdisciplinary units are a lot of writing, and instead we got to experience like different aspects, not only when doing the project, but I think another really big part of it was pitching to the council members. I feel like in life, if you ever have a great idea or any idea you want to make successful, pitching it to a person is very important. And if you can't do that, then you won't succeed.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you, thanks guys. Just a couple of notes about some of the expansion plans. So it's not just us. It's been a process from about 12 months ago, starting with initial conversations with Sophie Lambert, who's the program director based in Washington, D.C. So aside from Hong Kong, where we're focusing on the high schools, Koo Teng Chai is leading the effort in Singapore with the public sector in conjunction with CLC and NUS. Is Raymond and Charlie here? Okay, so Charlie and Raymond are doing an initiative for universities through De La Salle University, and they have a tremendous start there as well. And we have a lot of interest from our Australia friends, particularly David McCracken, and I think they're really next on the list to get the program up.
Yeah, so for Hong Kong, we're planning to launch our second ULI event, sorry, Urban Plan event in November, and again, it's going to be in conjunction with ISF. There's going to be a lot more customization, making it much more relevant for Hong Kong and Asia in the next rollout. Beyond that, in 2019, the plan is to approach another 3 to 5 schools with the ultimate goal of getting it deep into the public school system as well as the private school system here in Hong Kong. So it's really critical for us to be able to broaden out, to be able to teach this in not only English, but Cantonese as well as Mandarin.
Also, I think tied to the new initiatives that Dr. Seek and Nicholas has actually outlined with the ULI Foundation, obviously the funding for this program, because the schools don't pay for this. But we're raising funds to bring it out to the various schools. And I think related to what John is saying, what's really important is that we be able to translate this to all languages, because the final goal is to be everywhere within Asia Pacific. And again, particularly the emerging market countries, which so need to find integrated ways of thinking, not just about cities, of course, but about education. So we'll be hitting up everybody here for funding. Thank you. That's one. But I guess the most important part is, again, just recalling some of the issues about why we're all here through ULI. It's about places, and places are all about people. So the volunteering, I think, is going to be tremendous. For Hong Kong, anyways, we have a goal in the next 12 months to train 100 of you. We are already trained, so that we have a pool of people that we can rely on through the course of the events as we expand the program. And I'm sure that in the Philippines and in Singapore, they have a very similar kind of goal.